come wide at me again, boy. I'll stick that...
Howdy ho, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Guns throughout the Dying Light franchise have always been a very interesting weapon to talk about. Dying Light 1 weapons, or guns in particular, they have always been terrible. I don't care what any of you people say, throughout my 1,000 hours of Dying Light 1, guns are one of the worst weapon categories in the game because of how overshadowed they are and how completely useless they are even when they're needed. The only good weapon in the game is a shotgun, and that's it. But considering how easy enemies are able to be dispatched, this just kinda hardly matters. So, the only reason I really use guns in Dying Light 1 is for video purposes or against PvP like the Night Hunter, and that's it. I never use guns because they're one of the worst in the game and actually just hinders me more than it actually helps. And you might say, well, that's probably a skill issue. No, if a pistol or a rifle takes at least like 4 hits to kill a decomposing corpse, I don't think there's really a point of using it when I can literally just grab a shitty stick that's been rotting away for who knows how long and instantly decapitate their heads with the drop attack skill. But that's besides the point. Let me go back to the topic. Why are guns a mistake in Dying Light 2? There's a lot of multiple reasons as to why this is the case. So, if you want to skip the story, I have a time frame here, so without wasting any more time, let's get straight into it. I'm going to keep this story short and brief. So, to keep it short, the entire world is at the brink of being overrun by infected. The human race is about to go extinct, yada yada yada. The whole world has been fighting off against the infected for many years, or maybe even hours for that matter, and Villador is one of the last standing cities left. And the military has been fighting off the infected tirelessly for many hours or maybe even years for that matter. And they kind of realize that they're slowly starting to run out of ammunition. So they go back inside the walls, where they go around houses and apartments in search of private ownership of guns and as well as ammunition. People are not happy, so they start a riot. The military warned them of pushing back because they need the ammo to fight off against the infected. Well, people being dumb as shit, they decided to continuously push their limit, and they get gunned down, and the March Massacre happened, and eventually they go back outside the walls of whatever left of ammunition they were able to gather and try to fight it off, but they ran out of ammunition quickly again, and they got overrun, and the infected eventually broke in and got into Old Villador. And that's it. But one of the generals, or colonels, Pratt, specifically has hidden away what's left of ammunition and guns, or maybe even weapons in general, hid them away somewhere in Old Villador. The amount of ammo that he was able to hide away, or weapons, is very low by the theories made by some people throughout the city. A lot of people say that the amount of ammo that he was able to save up or get, or even on guns in general, is like in a lower quantity, but still, he has like a secret stash of weapons hidden away. Where or how, we don't know until Jace shows up and finds it himself, and asks for Aiden to come in and help him. Now, Hankill, one of the side quests you do, history lesson, he actually says specifically that the military have ran out of ammunition. That's why they got overrun. He never specifically says that the military, was running low on ammo, so they decided to hide it away. He explicitly says that they ran out of ammunition and decides to, hide it for some reason, which doesn't make sense. Of course, unless General Pratt has sort of manipulated the community into thinking that they ran out of ammunition, which, if it is the case, then the amount of ammo that they would be having would be like in the hundreds, or if not even less for that matter, which would kind of make sense. But in the armory, on the Lost Armory side quest, where Aiden and Jay eventually find the hidden stash, they realize that the amount of ammo and as well as the guns there are and ammunition there is inside a military box, convoy thing, whatever you want to call it, there are loads of guns and magazines, ammunition just stored in a single box. The box that Aiden opens up himself just has a shit ton of ammo and a lot of magazines for him to use, which contradicts many things, because Hankill himself says that firearms just become obsolete, and throughout the years the guns just eventually become rusted and maybe even unable to operate whatsoever, because there's hardly any factories or people that are willing to work on guns or even produce any ammunition whatsoever. So guns just pretty much become obsolete, and some people use them as a makeshift weapon or like a makeshift tool, which would serve a better purpose. But now you have Jay and Aiden, where they found like hundreds of ammunition and hundreds of guns just stashed away, not even in like an enclosed area. I'm surprised of how people cannot even find this out. It's literally on an underground parking lot where people can probably just like search in. Like, none of it makes sense, because if the military ran out of ammunition, or was about to run out of ammunition, why are there so many crates of it? You might think that they probably just have guns, but that doesn't really make sense, because why would you keep guns hidden away when they have no purpose whatsoever? It just kind of feels pointless. And not only that, it also kind of contradicts with what people say that they ran out of ammunition. They didn't. They have like hordes of boxes of ammo. You might say that, oh, they probably lied, but even if that's the case, you could theoretically think that they let the people die. They just gave up. Which wouldn't make sense because the military was dedicated to protect the people. So for them to just randomly give up and let them consume them, it doesn't make sense whatsoever. It contradicts many, many, many things. And it really just pisses me off. So let's talk about the gameplay-wise and why it ruined everything. Firstly being is that guns are very much powerful in the second game because they dish out even more damage compared to a lot of the weapons in the game. The only other weapon category that exists that does more damage and have a better firepower compared to any of the other firearms would be the crossbow. But the problem about the crossbow is that firstly you have to side with the peacekeepers, which is not a bad thing that a lot of people claim it is, and secondly is that it requires you to be very skillful with it because unlike the other guns where you can literally just mindlessly shoot around and it still hit targets and do more damage, with the crossbow you have to be very precise and skillful with it to be able to kill enemies much more quicker. And you might think that, why do you still use guns if you don't like them so much? Well, that's because they feel so fucking satisfying to use. Compared to the first game, they feel weird, they feel like weightless, but the second game they feel a lot more heavier. They pack a punch. They actually feel like genuine weapons, unlike the first game where they're just like a weightless piece of paper that just shoots up BB guns and that's it. But in the second game they feel like a fucking powerhouse of a weapon in your hands. But that's besides the point. It just ruins everything. Every bit of encounter that you can think of, whether it be volatiles, human enemies, or even boss enemies for that matter, it just kind of makes everything so easier. Regardless if it's like a volatile, goon, demolisher, two-handed renegades, normal renegades, or whatever, every bit of encounter is going to be ended significantly quicker compared to if you literally used a normal melee weapon. Especially against larger targets, where normally with a melee weapon it takes about like 30 seconds to kill them, but with a fucking gun it takes like maybe 20 or 10 seconds to kill them very quickly without any effort. And enemies are not going to be able to do whatsoever because you're just going to be constantly going back and dodging while they're effortlessly trying to catch up, but you're already dishing out more damage than you already should be, so the enemies just can't do fucking anything. Even if you're really bad at the game, guns just become a clutch and just save your game entirely. It makes every encounter just so fucking easy, which is the main problem of guns in the first place. They're just so effortlessly powerful that it just becomes brain numbing at this point, which kind of pisses me off so much. But that's besides the point. Who should we really be blaming for when guns came into the game? Well, Techland is obviously one of the ones that we should be blaming, but it's actually one of the fan bases that we probably should be looking at. Mainly because of the fact that back when Dying Light 2 was first initially announced, they first talked about the idea of Dying Light 2 taking place in a more dark age type of era, where humanity is being at the brink of extinction and resources are very limited. So guns becoming obsolete kind of makes sense, because there's no factories or people willing to work on guns to make them work, or even produce them in the first place. But people still have the fucking audacity to ask for guns, and even when guns should be added, they probably should have done it in a makeshift manner. But even when they did add guns, weapons have no fucking durability whatsoever, so they're kind of infinite, and plus the amount of ammo you get are also infinite. And finding ammo for that matter is not even impossible because they're fucking everywhere. They're so easy to find that running out of ammo in Dying Light 2 is hardly a problem unless you're actually lazy to go look for them. So that's it. But either way, when Techland literally said that they don't have any plans or want to add guns because it's going to ruin the immersion, people still kept asking for it for some fucking reason. Like a kid asking for if he can go outside or do something. Do kids even go outside anymore at this point? No, I don't think so. Anyway, back to the point. Anytime Techland has said or talked about something or shared something, whether it's like a meme or like a joke, whatever, or even behind the scenes for that matter, I have seen countless comments. I'm talking hundreds of comments. People asking for guns making a comeback in the second game, even though Techland has specifically said that they don't want to. So the fans have literally just bullied Techland into adding them into the game, which ruins every fucking thing. And it ruins the identity of Dying Light 2. Dying Light 2 already somewhat had an identity crisis, but it kind of was going on a direction of being in a dark age era. But when guns added, it literally just ruined fucking everything. It just said fuck all and just... Nah, it just said fuck you, I'm gonna ruin everything. And the fan bases being hypocritical like they always are, they usually tend to complain about everything. And when guns was initially added to the game, I decided to go in and check it out for myself to see how they were, and I realized that they're very fucking overpowered, and so I try my best to not use them unless it's for emergency uses, because I still want to use them because they feel so satisfying to use. So, what did the fan bases complain about? Well, firstly, they complained about the enemies not being able to be one-shotted like in the first game because it's not the same way as in the first game. No fucking shit, Dying Light 2 is a much more drastic different game than in the first game, so the fact that you can one-tap enemies is something they should not be crying about. Get fucking better. When the Dying Light players realize that they cannot one-tap anything, and I mean anything, they will start to usually bitch about it and complain about the game being too hard or being too unfair, which is not fucking true whatsoever. You just need to get used to it because of how different the game is. And secondly is the fact that they claim that the aiming is a little bit weird, which is the only thing I agree upon, and it's the only thing I agree upon, because swaving is a problem, because anytime you even move your mouse for even a little bit, like left or right or up and down, the gun just moves a bit too much. But then again, just hip fire and you're already good to go, so that's the only thing I really agree. And the last thing is, people have been complaining about all the fucking time. Oh my god, when people realize that this is not a feature in the second game, they've literally lost their shit. And I mean, they lost their shit. I'm talking comments being filled of asking this feature to come back. And do you know what it is? Well, it's the fact that human enemies don't surrender. Which is probably one of the most fucking dumb thing to even complain about. Because in the first game, you can make enemies surrender, and you might think that it's probably a good feature. It is not. It is probably one of the most stupidest and pointless fucking things to ever exist. Well, sure, detail-wise it is very cool, but gameplay-wise it has no fucking purpose whatsoever. Because you still have to initiate a fight to be able to even do anything in the first place. Even if you hold them hostage for at least like 5 minutes, they're not gonna run away, they're not gonna drop their weapons or flee, they're not gonna do anything but besides sits there as long as you have your gun being pointed towards them. If you get close, or even touch the box for that matter, they're gonna push you away and try to fight you. If you even shoot them once, then they're gonna start coming towards you. So this feature of them surrendering, quote unquote, is a fucking pointless feature that should have even been improvised in the first place. Which, when people realize that it's not coming back, they literally said that the game is bad, which is not, because this feature has no fucking purpose in the first game. If you were able to make them surrender and flee, okay, cool, but like, it doesn't even do that whatsoever. And Renegade surrendering does not make sense, because they will never surrender. They will only flee away. When they realize that they're being outnumbered, or one is alive, they will not just surrender and ask to be, mercied, or like, you know, not be killed. They will literally just run away like a little bitch. They will never ever surrender because they're so dosed up on drugs that they don't even care about their own safety. They would rather be a bloodthirsty animal that kills or even eats people rather than surrendering. It makes sense lore-wise because they're so out of their mind that they have no lack of care for their own safety. So for them to not surrender makes sense. But people, when they realize that they don't surrender, they like complain about it. Which is like, are you fucking crazy? It has no purpose in the first game, so why the fuck would it come back in the second game? It just makes no sense. We're so hypocritical that I feel like we're starting to like deserve nothing at this point, because like Dying Light 2 guns are so better because of how better they scale. Even against enemies that are so tanky, it does a good amount of damage. But when players realize that they can't one-tap anything the same way as in the first game without any effort, they're like, oh, I don't want to play this game because it's not easy as in the first game. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah. It's mostly the fan bases that we should be blaming, and Techline at the same time, but it's mostly the fan bases that I'm blaming of because of the fact that they literally bullied them into adding the guns in the game, and when they were added, they started complaining about guns being bad, weird, or not even functional in the first place. Like, holy fuck, people, you are weird. Talk about hypocrisy. Holy shit. I might be a hypocritical myself. I will admit, I can be hypocritical at times, but even I know when not to be fucking delusional dumbass. I know what I'm talking about. I spend hours on both sides, and I know which side is worse and better. Dying Light 1 guns are fucking terrible and garbage. The second games are overpowered as shit, even if you don't have much legend skills in the first place. The fact that these things can shred quicker than most of melee weapons just clearly shows how better they are. But yeah, Sorry for this being a more of an angry rant. This is just how I genuinely feel. I don't want to like putting on a fake personality and pretending that I'm another different person. I speak how I feel and I speak from my heart, and this is how I genuinely feel about guns in general, and I mostly blame the fan bases themselves for even encouraging Techland to add them in the first place because it ruins everything. If they were very rare and actually had durability and finding ammunition was like actually almost impossible, like a very low chance, then okay, I can maybe forgive them. Maybe. But they have infinite durability, ammo is very easy to find, and they're very powerful. Which, it's sad, honestly, but hey. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry for this being a very angry rant, and it might be painful for some of you to watch because it may sound like a bit of a pessimistic opinion, but it kind of is because I dislike guns in the Dying Light franchise because of one side is horrible and the other side is powerful. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please take care of each other, treat each other with respect, show some love, kindness to another. Do not be an asshole to each other. We are one big happy family in this shithole. And like always, I will see each and one of you next time. Goodbye. Now get out of my house. Shoo.